What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 34 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Karl Franz Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, once again a bunch of big battles, but the main one, the important one, was the fact that we frickin' caught Village towards the end of the episode. He was being quite the menace, running around, avoiding fights with our stacks, and just going after undefended territories, and that we had traded to the Urson Revivalists. Fortunately, with him gone, we have some time before he recovers his army, though, well, I'd imagine we will see him again, as he does still have a fair bit of territory remaining. Anyway, before we get started, one little bit of bad news. Unfortunately, this is the second time I'm recording this particular episode, as I started it, and towards the beginning of the episode, I wanted to fight a fight, specifically this fight between Gelt and Katep, as there are armies here, but unfortunately the fight seems to be broken in some manner, in that the game crashes when you fight it. I have encountered this before with the Tomb Kings, and in my Thorgrim campaign against a bunch of stacks at once of Tomb Kings specifically. Not in this area, funnily enough, in this area, so I imagine it doesn't have to do with the map, but anyway, it crashed like that, and I spent hours trying to get that particular battle to work, and this being essentially close to the end of the campaign, I'm not going to spend hours trying to get this battle to work again. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Gelt in ambush mode, and then hope Katep comes our way instead of us going to him and trying to make that battle work. Anyway, Karl, you're moving first today, as, well, that's actually most days, but you're moving first is what I'm getting at. And Gunter, you're going to follow Karl around, so go here somewhere, as you can hit Monolith of Torgold, Altar of Spawns for Karl, and a quick little auto-resolve, like so. Occupy, and obviously uncollect the income. And another free light college acolyte, that'll work. Alright, Gunter, you can go right there. Next up, Gavin, you're headed southwards as you've been fighting the rats. At least the very first couple of armies have already moved, in the sense that this is something I'm redoing. At least Gelt is very soon down the list, so it's only a few armies. A little bit annoyed that it crashed, should have quick save, but you know, you can't predict these things. Can't quick save before every battle because it would get tedious. Anyway, this is a close victory and low casualties, and we could auto-resolve this, but I'll give them a chance to sally out, since it's a close victory, and give it a try. If they do, then we'll give them the honor of killing them personally. Theodric von Blitten, and... As I recall, okay, we're going to have to use both of you, or at the very least we're going to have to use you both to auto-resolve. There isn't much here, but it will kill off the Swords of Averland here, so by moving both armies in, we should be able to avoid that. Go on. And there we are. Alrighty, auto-resolve. I already know this should work. Still a pretty big amount of damage, including to the war wagons, but I think we've gotten used to that a fair bit at this point. Aborigine Mountains are ours, and more importantly, the Barrow Legion is destroyed, so the Southern Realmers can't complain too much. Elspeth, you're going after Carrick Crumb. We're not going to raid the place. Yes, we have a quest to raid it, but I don't think we care about the 800 gold that it offers, as opposed to the time that it would take Elspeth to, you know, waste sitting here and raiding. And the time is much more precious. You can go... Oh, you know what? I'll do State Troop Levy for the additional movement range, or the State Troop Levy can also be repeated here, can't it? Yeah, there we go. It's 30%, so while it won't work here, if we end our turn at the edge of Khazid's Citizen, we'll still be able to take advantage of it for one turn, so I think it's worth our time. Emil von Corden, you're going to pop into Trench's stance. You're going to declare war and attack Foul Peak. Don't bother calling allies to help. We're just going to go through these territories. I wonder if this thing will intercept us. It will not. Well... Alrighty, we'll take Foul Peak. We're gonna auto-resolve this. Yeah, it's too basic. And a single stack against our Demigryph army, even with the giant. Absolutely no chance whatsoever to do anything of consequence to Emil von Corden. He'd rather fight droves of rats with their weapon teams, I'm sure. Gustav Schneider, you're moving up here, or continuing to move up here. You've been doing so for a while now. But you guys have deliveries to make. And as soon as you've stopped moving, there we go. That's Balthazar Gelt. Okay, now And we can start again, so slow it down because I no longer know who's moving where as I once did. Okay, you two can wait because it doesn't really matter, but, well, you know what, we'll move you after. Let's move everybody else first, assuming I don't forget. Gustav Hall, you're moving to Mount Squighorn. Baldric Stroam, you were going to Argalis, but it's just been taken, so I guess you're moving past Argalis now. We have, yes, okay, we have a military access agreement with these guys, and we're technically not at war with the Vampire Coast, though that is admittedly about to change. Von Kessel, you... can you reach Village's territory here in Monolith of whatever? I wonder if it would be better to move around like this, because Village has been more annoying than the Dark Elves have. It would be the better idea. Alright, you're gonna head to Monolith of... actually... the two tech thieves are about to steal tech from it. And they won't be able to reach the next place, but, well, you know what? We've already started moving. So I guess it's too late. I was actually gonna send this guy here. You know what? You can then march, here. Okay, auto-resolve this for obvious reasons. Heal up. At the very least, I doubt that Village has another army ready to go to defend. You can stay here. And I was going to have you recruit some Sigmarite disciples, so let's go like so. Why? Oh, I don't have the gold for it. Alright, let's see if we can get gold by fighting. And then if we can, we'll recruit those, and if we can't, well then we'll just do it next turn. Doesn't really matter over much. Boris, you have defeated Rikarth last time around, so you're going to land at Troll Fjord and occupy that. And keep occupying these territories, and then eventually you're probably going to have to go on a little bit of a hunt for the, I don't know, Admiral whatever, the Black Ark that's out there. I didn't see the Admiral's name. Not that we need to learn it, because he'll be dead and forgotten rather soon, I'm sure. Boris. Who is up next? Humphrey Burkert. Alrighty, you are going to hit Guelata. And I don't imagine it's particularly well defended. In fact, it is a ruin. Okay, we'll take it, and then we'll offer it to our lizardy friends down here. Hoping to keep them alive just because we can, and just because we don't really want to hold the mountain territories, although funnily enough this is a hill, but anyway. Recruiter, you're fine, you're just kind of holding those items, units, whatever. Velmir von Rakov, you're in the same position. Bruno Schreiber, you, I guess, can start moving around, so head to Holiday Retreat, heal up there, and then head southward. You're going to be taking territories from the Ogres, which I still want to get at least a couple of nice fights against, because they're one of the strongest factions in the, that remain in the map, and they are probably going to have at least a couple of stacks worthy of our attention. Is Mr. Scarby back? He is not. Alright, Kurt, just sit here, just wait. I would like Scarbrand to return. We'll see if he does or he doesn't. I mean, he will eventually, but, you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? I barely know what I mean. Anyway, Recruiter Olden. Wait, did these guys... When did we offer them a chance to sally out? Oh! Oh, right, no, we actually fought them. You know what we can do? We can auto-resolve this, or what remains of this, and then we can sack it, because we don't really care. Yeah, sack it. I actually shouldn't have done that. I'm dumb. I forgot that we were looking to keep the... Well, actually, it actually doesn't matter. I was gonna just save Marcus's movement time. Could have captured it at tier 4 rather than whatever, but again, it doesn't really matter over much. And just build it up, such as it is, and then go for the tap room here. I don't think anybody's going to be too happy. You can then head to Lost Ericsson's Landing and then Lonely Ogben. It looks like the Albion Bowl is pretty much won at this point, but, you know, Marcus got a couple of really nice fights out of it. So I'm reasonably happy about the whole thing. Not so happy I decided to sack that, but whatever. It happens. It happens. We're past the point of that mattering at this point in time. Ralph Branch, you're stuck where you are because there are Tomb Kings to the south of you. Volkmar, however, is traveling close to the Black Pyramids, so we'll continue moving this way. And after Volkmar, we have Gavin. The Bretonnian Gavin, as opposed to the Drekvalder Gavin. I guess you're going to have to head to Red Shield Fort. We can't have these guys coming down here and attacking us. Keep channeling, of course, because you'll still need that mana. I wonder where Kugeth is. I would like to kill off Kugeth's main stag at least once before the campaign ends. Ooh. What do we have here? Morphific. That's a lot of armies. We could leave Prague, but then I'm wary of the fact that it might get retaken by some of these guys, or these guys might push down to Bolgasgrad and then take it. Huh. Go figure. It's a distinct possibility. We could go back down here, but then these guys would just retake Prague. Alright, I think we're gonna have to do our best to hunt these guys down, and then we'll see. Let's see if they run or they stay. Will you stay or will you go? You will stay. And it's a low casualties, so we will auto-resolve it, and then we will heal up in case we get immediately attacked right after. Oh, demons will get reforged to some degree, so we'll attack them again. Man, we got the perfect vigor out of that, though. And a campaign movement range, so I'm not going to complain about it. And this time we will heal up again. Lovely. Actually, that probably worked in our favor. Let's encamp so that we can heal a little bit more, and then menace Morphific, see how he responds to all this, and just in case we get attacked, we should probably apply a few points. A Deadly Blade into Scarred Vet into Foe Seeker, so you can reposition fast and get that Mark of Hish. Engineer, you were looking to get extra powder, which you have, and let's get increased mobility to speed the army up a little bit and start moving through Gunsight. The 2 Empire Captains, you have, remember your training and Esteemed Combatant, which were the important things, so we're free to move through Deadly Blade into Foe Seeker, and then Blade Shield, and I guess the same for you, because you guys should have been leveled effectively the same manner. You have 1 extra point because of Retinue Train. I'm just going to pop that in there so I don't get confused every time. Alrighty, that was Colt Holdorf, who was around the middle of the list here. Alright, next troop train. You... Myrmidia, Fire Army. You should work against Nurgle, so I think we'll send you here.
On the trail.
Where... Oh! Whoa. Kugeth Plague Father, I was just talking about you. What the heck is your army, though? Okay, well... Now, Philip... Oh, no, Philip Ivan's supposed to get replaced. He's not the lord of this army. Okay, I'm going to replace the lord, and I'm going to hope that it is the right lord. You know what I mean? Or the movement range doesn't get completely destroyed, which it very likely might, but, well, we can't have you commanding this army. So, you are going to get replaced by... some guy who's level, I want to say 17 or 18 or 19. No, not you. It was some guy with Esteemed. Alright. Marksman Commander, Fearless, Esteemed. Boris Broch, oh, we're level 18. Yeah, there we go. Why this guy? I mean, we'd have to reset this guy anyway. Frankly, Tactician would work just as well, mostly. Bolstered Command isn't bad, though. It's something, at least, and the range isn't too bad, either. Yeah, alright, let's go, Boris Broch. Alright, and then Mr. Broch. Yeah, see, he has switched the lord, and then it completely derails your movement range. But what can you do? A little bit worried that these... Oh, you have a great Chaos Dragon. Good for you. Troop Train, you're gonna sit in camp stance right here and get ready to head towards Bone Nose's hold. Boris Broch, rather. You are going to start heading towards Kugeth. We'll see how he reacts to all this, while Mr. Arndt Thuringman will head to Great Idol of Mork and sit there and see how they react. You can... Oh, we should level you up. Alright, so... You are definitely Knightly Orders. Speed and charge bonus for all cavalry type. Get Hold the Line, obviously get Speed of Horse. You can grab Route Marcher as well. Now, we could also get Leading the Charge to... I don't know, speed these guys up a little bit more, although the charge bonuses and other stuff is already pretty solid. Is that better than significantly powering up the single lord in this particular army? Admittedly, the buffs are relatively minor. And everything else here is kind of meh. We don't care about the upkeep. Well, the vigor loss reduction is nice, but it's only 10% and that isn't too much, so... Frankly, we'd probably get more mileage out of you being a powerhouse on the battlefield, so I think we'll do that. On the other hand, we have done that for pretty much every lord, but nonetheless, we need something to anchor the line here because it's all knights. Anyway, Speed of Horse, and is there any kind of other buff? I don't think anybody else takes any kind of advantage from anything. And just double checking. But I'm pretty sure nobody does. The only thing I could conceive putting in here would be something from the Mighty Forge line, because they might be able to... well, we might need siege attack. No, wait, you would have a siege attacker from having a griffin on. Okay, fine, well, it doesn't really matter. Alright, you are going to go through Divine Power. It's not like... well, I don't really need bolstered leadership, but I'd like to reduce enemy capabilities, so that's going to be the thing that we do here. Let's go for... I'm going to say Heart of the Griffin for physical resistance, minor though it may be. Fire resistance probably won't help us here, but let's do bolstered leadership, replenish troops, and start moving through this line until we reach retinue physician. And just in case, get retinue quartermaster as well. Alrighty, you sit there. You wanted to see if we have that Bretonnian unit available now. I think we checked last episode, but yeah, no dice. Alright, a couple more. And the rest of you can wait. Oh, you know what? You guys should be leveled, because if the enemy attacks you, we need you to be decently leveled up. So we'll do the same thing with you as we do with all of our Empire captains, like so, and like... I'm gonna say Sigmar's Ward. Alright, then the same thing for you, -1 level, so no Sigmar's Ward for you, but everything else for you, yes. Alright, Retinue Trainer, Sparring Practice Guardian, and for the cause... yeah, I'm gonna still say Officer Squad. Yeah, we could get the Demigriffs and power up the Cav a little bit, but I don't think it matters that much. Leadership, lead the state troops, rather. We should probably get a couple of Empire Captains in here to replace the Drakvald Riders. They don't offer anything interesting in this particular army. They'd probably be acting more like a unit of knights that chase other units around. Everybody else has a particular specific niche here. The possible exception of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, but they had the biggest charge bonus by far. Oh, actually, the Drakvald Riders have a close type of charge bonus. But yeah, anyway. Much as I do love that Strider on them, they don't... it doesn't serve too much of a purpose when they're, you know, when the entire army is made up of Cav. You know what I mean? Yeah, anyway, Ernst Puttkamer, you... well, with the Albion Bowl effectively won, I guess you're not really needed here anymore, so you can move up here and grab Lonely Ogben. I guess we will still have to take Drifting Castle from Bellicor, so... and then we'll leave an army there to end the campaign there for that particular army. You can grab Numas, which should be auto-resolvable, I think. It's tier 3. Oh, it does have a wall, though. Will the game let us do this? It looks like it will. Alright, let's just do it. Occupy. Alright, and you don't need the Pigeon Plucker Pendant for obvious reasons. Hopefully we can turn that into something else. Alright, Scarab City is ours, but it probably won't be ours for long, as I don't imagine we'll bother keeping it. Yeah, I'll just give it to Henry. For stuff. For useful, hopefully useful stuff. Alrighty, anyway, we'll still have to move these guys to another army, though admittedly at the same time, do we have time enough left in the campaign to form another army is a question. Marius Leitdorf, you're not going to make that decision for us. You will, however, move to Steelfang's Hold and hopefully wipe out the remnants of the vampires here for good. On resolve, a little bit of damage, a decent bit of damage, I should say, to the ogres. Occupy. That was kind of dangerous, admittedly. And they will probably besiege us. But admittedly, we don't care that much about the ogre bulls. Frankly, it would be much better to just replace them with piles of Grand Cauldron regulars. But again, I don't want to, you know, overdo that sort of thing. Anyway, and that was Marius Leitdorf, close to the... where are you here, sir? Alright, there you go. Siegfried Schneider. Alright, you're still moving. Fire Army. I built the Fire Army much earlier in my previous Karl campaign, so I didn't prioritize it in this particular campaign. Which, you know, is only fair. Gotta prioritize slightly different armies. I did prioritize the whatchamacallit, the Pistols, well, not really the Pistols army, but the Free Company Militia army, but that's mostly because of my bias towards the unit, because I just love Free Company Militia. But anyway, you, Mr. Aldebrand Ludenhoff, are gonna... okay, fine, you're gonna switch stances, hit the Serpent's Fang. Your army isn't complete yet, as half of these troops are gonna be swapped out by Sigmarite disciples and stuff, so until you're there, you could just auto-resolve rather than fighting. Although, admittedly, this army retreads old ground, so I'm not, you know, super invested necessarily in having them fight, only if they have to. Wait. Well, we should get a fight going with them because of their cannon, at least.
Yes, my lord.
I would imagine. Anyway, state troop levy for you as well. Why am I doing state troop levy everywhere? It's for the movement range. Aldebrand Ludenhof, you... I can find you down here. Alright, Dietz Huss. You've got a similar kind of army, just formed out of the extra troops that we got. The extra state troops.
Advance on them.
And you can head to Carrick Ankle. And auto-resolve it. Will this kill the Wissenberg? Well, you know what? I don't care. If it does, it does. Okay, it does not. Alright. Occupy.
Someone get me a report on the defenses.
Alrighty, and potions of toughness I've generally been giving to not engineer lords, but I believe to Grand Master lords, so that'll be
Just as I
earmarked for one of those lords. Aren't you stuck where you were? And Thomas of Vissen, you're headed southwards with the Moor units. Though frankly, we've seen plenty of Knights of Moor from Volkmar's army, and I'd wager he's gonna get them to fight again. You, caravan type army. I guess we'll send it north. There's still a lot to do up here, so keep going this way. I'm a little bit worried about Kuget directly attacking us, so let's move this way like this. Oh, actually, he can probably only reach Boris Broch. As to whether he attempts to do so remains to be seen, but just in case, we should probably level Mr. Albert Zek. You have Emperor's Finest, and oh, we've mostly already leveled you. Isn't that lovely? Alright, well, I guess we were going through Mighty Forge, and that has not changed. You guys... For this particular army, definitely Heart of the Griffin. We need the additional debuffs, basically. Like so, and we will obviously need replenished troops. Next we'll get Beacon of Courage, and... Actually, we won't care about bolstered leadership in this army, so that'll be fine. Divine Power, Hammer of Sigmar, Shield of Faith, Replenished Troops, Heart of the Griffin, and Beacon of Courage. Good. And then the Amber Wizard, you've got Temperdora, which is the main thing, but we will really need that Glittering Robe. Metal Shifting, definitely Gehennas. Transmutation of Lead, use a lot. What else do we have? Definitely want to get Sigmar's Ward and Mark of Hish. Onslaught is nice. And what else do we have here? You are fixated, so the arcane focus doesn't matter nearly as much as it does for other lords. Untapped potential isn't a bad thing to have. And yeah, let's get Onslaught as well. You know what? I do like Plague of Rust. You know, let's just max out the magics. And then we got 6 more points to play around with. So out of these, I'm going to say we should get Potent at the very least. Cooldown to spell reduction and then potent. Let's go cooldown to spells. And while scouting is nice, it isn't critical to what we've got going on. So let's finish up by either reducing your miscast chance or reducing your... I mean, a sorcerer's shielding is fine. But Amber Wizards, or Gold Wizards rather, don't get sent into combat, so it doesn't matter as much. Heavily armored though they may be. Yeah, alright, you're fine as you are. There we go. They get attacked, they get attacked. And I believe that's all that we've got in this particular turn, so we can skip. Hero not moved? Nah, I'm just gonna assume that it's fine. Wherever it is and whatever it may be, outpost available. Ooh, wait, actually, one other thing. I did say I wanted to recruit some auto-resolve-y Sigmarite disciples on you, and that hasn't changed. They are fairly expensive, Mr. Gosser. You know what? We will... spend a little bit of cash on this to get this going right now. Then we will go for Call to Arms, like so, to get the recruitment cost reduction. And then we'll get the Sigmarite Disciples. There we go. That should be nice and auto-resolving. Should there be an even amount of these guys? I don't know, maybe. Take out... Okay, what we got? 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, well, I guess we can have more of these. Alright, let's do that. And then 1, 2, 3. And then we'll immediately go for conscription, like so. There you go. Alrighty. Just for auto-resolving. Will this army auto-resolve well? I have no idea. Distinct likelihood that it will not, but I guess we'll see. Frankly, it should obviously be a... an Archlector leading this army, but you know what? You're doing it for now. So just keep doing it for now. Go for the Vanguard for the missile resistance for infantry. It's the only real option here. You don't really have a good line for the Sigmarite Disciples, but that's fine. Hold the line, mark a Hish, Sigmar's Ward. Let's go through, I don't know, I'm gonna say Mighty Forge as usual, in case you need the War Wagon. I probably should have... Does it take 1 turn or 2 turns? Should have gotten a couple of mortar war wagons so you could do that. But anyway, not a big deal. It's in the turn. Hey, I suspected that this would be the case, and it looks like the Dark Elves, especially with this being their last fight, as Harganeth will be destroyed after this, will indeed sally out. We'll give them the fight, as this is also likely Waldemar Biber's last fight of the campaign. It would take too long to travel anywhere else. There's likely to be combat, so go.
Victory will be ours! We are Sigmar's heirs! They are Sigmar's foes!
Alrighty, there we go. Gotta love those volleys and those reload times as the artillery start firing again. Rather quick and annoying whenever units they are in range of. Of course, we are roughly at the max range, so the units getting hit are not the most critical of units, but as more critical units move into range, then we'll start going after them as well. And we got some Chaos Warriors moving together with the Blackguard of Nagaron. Still bothers me to see Chaos Forces and Dark Elves outside of Morathi, I guess, working together. But what can you do? Anyway, mortar shells and hellblaster volleys coming in all across the enemy main line, and have already destroyed a couple of the enemy units. We got a decent little formation all the way back here with a few units of the halberds and the spears, including the Grundle's defenders, right amongst our troops in case the enemy land there. And I didn't remember whether this particular faction had the ability to summon demonettes. It would be weird if it did, because it's Harganeth, but just in case, had to make sure that we had troops protecting our artillery. Anyway, the enemy continues to approach, and there are a fair few of them out there, so we are going to probably have to do a little bit of melee action, and possibly a lot of melee action. But that's just fine. If everybody gets to play, I consider it a good battle. I do like this little formation here. We even got the officers squad in the midst of all this, trying to help out against the enemy Hydra. The enemy Black Dragon, in the meantime, has been defeated by our General of the Empire. And we'll give chase to a little bit before moving back in case we need to deal with that Hydra, who's been taking a lot of hits from those Hellblasters. Let's see, we got 10% and 10% miss on physical resistance. I guess it's just a pure amount of HP and regeneration, and that's keeping it going. And we were going to hit it with the Griffin, but it looks like it's lost enough HP that it doesn't matter, as it will at last and be brought down. The enemy's range units have gotten well into range as the Dark Shards begin to fire away at our lines, but fortunately our mortars will be able to counteract that pretty darn quickly, as our mortars are kind of insane in this army with their damage. Okay, not you. With their damage and their reload rate. Yeah. It works quite well is what I'm getting at. I'm gonna activate that Doom of Nagash as well, getting the melee defense on all the front line, but also giving magical attacks and banishment application to all of our artillery as well. Which is very nice. The first of the enemies have also reached our main line, and gotta be careful with our own mortar shells, as they will kill off our units faster than they will kill the enemies, since the enemy will be more heavily armored and resistant to stuff than things like spears are. On the bright side, though, that was not a good mortar shell. Oh, we get mortars, please. Oh, you gotta be careful with those, man. I'd say we could replace them with Citizens guns in this particular army because they don't cause friendly fire damage, but at the same time I like the idea that it's the mortar war wagons rather than the ground-based mortars that we have here. And they're a lot easier to reposition for obvious reasons. Anyway, clearly the enemy main line has reached us and is in fact trying to move through the holes in our ranks. Probably going to get a few near point-blank blasts from the Hellblasters, but not to worry, we'll send those Bleak Swords packing right quick, and with a rear charge from that General of the Empire / Griffin. The enemy main line has thus far failed to break through our line, so several of our units are heavily damaged, in part from the enemy, and in part from the mortar fire. Gotta just make sure that we have the mortars actually targeting enemies that are far away from the front line, and, units that are running, units that are still approaching, etc., etc., rather than killing more of our units than the enemy. Hellblasters, of course, have free reign, unlike the mortars, though. They're a little bit safer in that regard. Even if they clip a few of our units, they don't have the splash damage to obliterate our own lines. Anyway, the fight yet continues. The bounce power has shifted to about 85% in our favor. Our spears are still holding. I believe our halberds have been fighting a unit of Blackguard of Nagarond in the woods here that tried to get around us. Of course, the Blackguard were winning handily, but we dropped in the General of the Empire with his Griffin, and with the rear charge and the splash damage, and that should make sure that the halberds carry the day, which is nice to see. Especially considering the vast disparity in troop quality between the halberdiers and the Blackguard of Nagarond. Anyway, with that, it looks like the Dark Elves and the Forces of Chaos have given up, and will shatter. The battle is ours, and they're going to take a fair few Hellblaster blasts or volleys to their backs as they run. The Dark Gods and Cain probably not going to be super happy with them for running away. Oh, I do wonder as to the degree that Cain would care about that. Well, either way, lovely work from this army. Heavy damage on this unit of spears, and I believe there's another one that got nearly obliterated. This one looks like it will survive, though, so we're looking good. Very fun fight, no magics needed. There we go, a very nice fight. I really enjoyed Waldemar Biber's Iron Company over the course of the campaign. No need for those fancy magics, just give a man the simplicity of a spear, a shield, and, a repeating cannon, and and that's all you need. Very, very nice, and I love watching those mortars and the Hellblasters fire away, and listening to them fire as well. Plus, the fun aspect of this particular army is that since we have, this army isn't the best at obliterating droves of infantry like it would be if we had replaced some of the artillery with a couple of Hellblasters or, magics, it allows the spears to play as well as the enemy closes the distance and gets some good fighting going. Lovely. Praise Sigmar. Looks like we got a ambush going against King Itabam, and while he does have some decent units, let's face it, he would have absolutely no chance whatsoever here. The Ushabti would be fine, but then the giant pile of infantry, specifically the Tomb Guard, would get obliterated by Gehennas and the various rockets, so I think we'll just auto-resolve it. Hopefully it doesn't do an insane amount of damage to us, but let's find out. Nope, not an insane amount of damage at all, which is unsurprising. That's exactly the way that I expected that to go. And, alright, so Katep will actually then immediately attack us. Alright, I guess we're not going to auto-resolve 2 battles in a row. I'm surprised he's actually attempting this. I'm going to quick save this in case the battle doesn't work like the previous time I fought Katep, though it was one of his reinforcing armies that seemed to be broken and not his own. So we will hopefully be okay. Better not crash game. Let's find out. To battle indeed. I prefer it when you say I'll turn their bones to gold, but I'll take it. Anyway, here we go. We've got the enemy deployed really, really far from us. In fact, too far for our artillery to start casting. That's alright, though. We'll start the day by getting a few casts off with magical artillery instead, i.e. Balthazar Gelt, who's going to start off with, as soon as he can actually cast it. And there we go. Final transmutation on Katep, and then start attacking him. Between the final transmutation and the Plague of Rust, Katep is down to 14 speed and 0 armor, so we should be damaging him fairly quickly, especially with the basically non-existent Well, actually, still has fairly decent melee defense even with the reductions, but it'll lower further as the final transmutation hits higher levels and does more damage. Unfortunately, the enemy has arrived to try to bail Katep out. He's already at 45% of his HP, and has started to send the rest of his army towards us while we get annoyed by the enemy Necropolis Knights and whatever other units, chariots and such are here. I'm not sure that even with the healing potion Katep will survive, but we shall see. Either way, the Necropolis Knights can only annoy one unit, and it has to be either Gelt or the Empire Captain, and poor Katep is just too fragile. Obviously, if we wanted to abuse the spell work, we could have... Oh, I believe Katep has disappeared. He's dead. There we go. Beautiful. If we wanted to abuse the spell work, we could drop a Searing Doom and clear out those Necropolis Knights, but there's no need. I don't like to do that sort of thing, as it feels unfair. So we'll see if the Necropolis Knights can continue to surround our units, and well, our guys will try to escape, and the enemy will try to prevent us from doing so. In the meantime, this is a choke point battle, technically speaking. Even though we haven't seen the choke points come into play as yet, we have our armies set up to block them both off. And the enemy will try to move through them with the chariots in the lead. Gotta be careful as our own units are, already likely getting clipped by our rocket batteries. Very dangerous when stop that. When the enemy moves close to you like that. Now this is when, generally speaking, you want to turn your artillery to fire far away, because your rockets, because of their inaccuracy, will clear more of your troops than the enemy's. So we're going to manually redirect their fire. And of course it was kind of dumb of the artillery crew to fire at the 3 chariots rather than the massive blob of infantry, slow moving and concentrated, that they should have been targeting instead. But that's the AI for you. Can't trust it to run an artillery crew much more than you can trust it to run an empire. Anyway, the enemy will hit us with a tomb swarm right in the midst of our formation, just as the chariots and the skeleton horsemen, the fast movers, hit our front line. Fortunately, Gelt and the Empire Captain have at this point escaped and are now back to where they need to be. Unfortunately, the enemy has suffered enough damage, which means they can summon a unit of Ushabti among our range units and artillery, and we're going to counteract that with the Knights of the Black Rose, which we have held in reserve to fight. And now that we know where the Ushabti have appeared, the rest of the Knights of the Black Rose can move into the melee as well, joining the Eldred's Guard and the Silverin Guard, and applying that bleed to the enemy. How do you wring blood from a bone? I'm not entirely sure, but especially a dusty old bone in this particular case. But I'm sure they can manage to pull it off. Alright, love seeing all those spears hold the enemy back, huh? The Eldred's Guard are out front because the Silverin Guard are out front because we had to back off that heavily damaged unit of Eldred's, and because, well, they got nearly obliterated by that pile of rockets. Anyway, the enemy has moved a carrion swarm over our flock, over our main line, and has dropped it amongst our leftmost unit of rockets. This isn't the Sunmaker, is it? No, it's not. Sunmaker's fine. And we're going to have to get another one of our units of Knights of the Black Rose to interrupt them, unless they do too much damage to our precious rocket batteries. The enemy's reinforcements have arrived as well, and plenty more units are moving onto the battlefield. I can see a Bone Giant firing away at us, and by the looks of it, attempting to hit Balthazar Gelt, who's going to move towards same said Bone Giant and do the same thing to it as he did to Katep, which is that application of the Plague of Rust and the final transmutation, which is a pretty solid combination. And of course the application of corroded armor and all that Gelt himself does. Anyway, Bone Giant is going to be out of the picture, well, maybe not soon, but soon enough, while the rockets continue clearing out any enemy infantry. It does look like there are more fast movers moving on towards the front line, but they no longer have the mass to break through them, as we have once again joined our knights to the main line. And they're not breaking through them anymore. Especially now that the rockets aren't in danger of obliterating everything here, and the enemy has no more Ushabti to summon. Looks like it wasn't needed to defend the rightmost choke point, I guess, but that's alright. I mean, there was no way to predict that the enemy wouldn't bother moving through it. Sometimes the AI will, you know, do anything to move through both choke points, and other times it will completely ignore it. I'm not entirely sure why. And exactly in the same situation as well, where we set up on both sides of the map. Or maybe if we had set up only on one side, they would have attempted it. I don't know. It might have also had to do with the fact that the enemy was awaiting reinforcements, and the reinforcements were over on this side. But anyway, the battle is nearly ours. The enemy will get a parting shot off with a banishment, which starts mowing down units of Eldred's Guard and Silverin Guard. This is a rarity, isn't it? I rarely see the AI cast advanced spells now that I think about it. It tends towards the cheaper spells like magic missiles and all that. Granted, oftentimes it doesn't have a high level wizard to rely upon. But I guess at least it has... Well, actually, these guys are decently leveled. Yeah, these guys have got Purple Sun of Zareus, Fate of Biuna. If they had hit this unit with a Fate of Biuna, it probably would have died. But alas, they did not. Alas for them. I mean, anyway, the Bone Giant has fallen, and only the enemy Lich Priests and High Priest with the last of the enemy Tomb Guard remain. We're going to come down, get that glittering robe on those remaining units, and make sure that Gelt, his Empire Captain, and whatever other units catch and kill the remaining priests. There we go, down goes the one, down goes the other, and then there was one whose death animation I assume we won't see because there we go, heroic victory will appear as soon as he loses his last point of HP. Very nice, a very nice fight. Heroic victory, not so heroic from the artillery crews perhaps, but I guess turning your back to rockets firing at you is brave for the main line, knowing that half of you will die to friendly fire. Alright, there we go. Nice little fight, and most units got to play. Even the Knights, decent bit. 20,000 damage, actually. A little bit more than expected, considering they were, let's say, waiting behind the line for a lot of the battle. Admittedly, we did do a fair bit of damage to one of our own Eldred's Guard, using, I don't know, one of the artillery pieces. It would have had to have been either the Dust Strike launchers or Morsleep's delivery system or the Sunmaker, because these two were on the other choke point. Either way, at 71,000 kills, Sunmaker, Death Strike launchers, 59,000 kills, and 39,000 kills for the Morsleep delivery system, all, and did well enough. I love the fact that that battle worked as well. Man, guys, I'm worried that it might not have been a issue with the... no, okay, never mind, we're good. Ooh, it lagged at the end of the turn there for an absolute age while something was happening. I don't know if it had to do with the Confederation of Goldtooth, or by Goldtooth, rather, or something else, but damn, that was very concerning there for a second. Scroll to Lanpavis, what else do we have here? Banner of Swiftness, Armor Silver Steel, not so Grand Hierophant magic item, or magic one wins a magic power reserve faction wide. It's a very nice defeat trait. Alright, Courageous, ally loses outpost because the Heralds of Ariel have given up their military alliance with us, or broken their military alliance with us. Hardly surprising because they hate us and because the Wood Elves are irritating. So yeah, I just gotta deal with it. Oh wow, Manorialism takes 3 turns, eh? Go figure. Well, we're not doing that right now anyway. Hall of Duels is what I wanted to do next, or Manorialism, but since none of them can be done in one turn, we're going to go for... I'm going to say go for Colonial Factors. Why? Just because I feel like it. A little bit of extra money, not that we really need it, but who knows. Our tier 5 buildings without materials at sea are pretty darn expensive after all. Anyway, Karl, you're going to go here and reinforce at Monolith of Torgald, while you will occupy it as soon as, or right at the same time as Karl moves there. Perfect. Auto resolve. Why would it hurt the Amber Wizard? The guy that wouldn't be fighting has 140 armor and 225 speed. Okay, game, okay. I see the insanity continues unabated. Alrighty, well, Karl, you've no choice but to move forward and hopefully heal up the battle wizard. And hopefully we can grab both of those. Not 100% on it, but we shall see. Alrighty, we shall see next turn, though. Dolph, you were... Alright, so this guy's here. His army's kind of meh, though. I'm willing to bet that the auto-resolve won't let us auto-resolve this, but this is pathetic compared to the kind of fights Dolph has fought before. I'm gonna wait on this. We might fight this next episode or might not. I'll think about it. Gavin, you're headed for Warpstone Meteorites. That has not changed at all. And then, in fact, you're going past it to the south to get the capital, whatever, of the next territory. Once we find it. I don't remember what the name of the territory is what I'm getting at. Anyway, Jurgen, you are headed to... Oh, what the frickin' heck is this? Now we have Azazel here. I would love for you to attack Azazel, but he has Slaneshi Steelies, doesn't he? Meaning we need the... I believe we got a couple of free ones. The Light College Acolyte 1 and... Okay, we got 2. 1. And Light College Acolyte 2, and then whose Light College Acolyte is... Who's this? Siegfried Schumacher. Are you in one of the other factions, or factions, one of the lords that are fighting Slaneshi right now? No, I don't think you are. Alrighty, so we can take your Light College Acolyte. Let's... Okay, where was Azazel? Oh yeah, right here. Alrighty, let's take your Light College Acolyte, and we'll give him to Gotrek. Like so. Any other ones that we know are free to be transferred? Tech Thief, you definitely don't need one. Alright, so we'll have you. You have space for him? I don't really care for the standards of discipline, so we'll remove those. Oh, I clicked on something else and I didn't mean to. Well, that sucks. I don't know why it, you know, it makes a little announcement, but what can you do? Where's that Tech Thief? You're a Tech Thief, right? Yes. Take the Light College Acolyte, and I imagine that it was something that allowed us to move further that we lost here. Let me just get that back. Servant, no. Scribe do allow us to move further a little bit. Was that it for the movement range? Outrider, Militiaman, we don't have any spare messengers. So I guess that's probably it. Alright, good enough. Good enough. You're gonna head for Azazel. He's going to run, but, well, that's hardly surprising. I wanted to go here, but I guess we can have Johann Kusterman take Wrath of Galrock, or occupy it, rather. Colonize it. While we give chase to Azazel in the same way that we had been doing to Village, because of course. And you will channel, I guess, because what else can we do? Oh! Actually, you cannot take Wrath of Galrock, because if you do... Wait, are you at war with... You are at war with. Okay, well then you can just back off. Yep, definitely not enough armies out here, but, well, it is what it is. Dolph, I already checked you, bud. We'll see about you later. Waldemar Biber, you are going to finish off Hargan... Okay, no, you're not going to finish off Harganeth, because they can leave via the port. Alright, fair enough. You'd think it would take time to disembark, but apparently not. Occupied. Deepwood Branch... Meh. Alrighty, headsman, and that should be the last territory of these guys. You can go into, I guess, State Troop Levy, at least for now, though that won't stay forever. Alrighty, you, oh, Tech Thieves, you know what, I will move you between the episodes. Let's, well, no, I can't, at least the Tech Thieves here have to be moved now, because there's no more territories here. All of you guys have to be moved. Not that we have too much in the way of, oh, you're supposed to join Marcus, yeah. Not that we have too much in the way of techs remaining anyway, but as we just saw, Manorialism can't be completed in one turn, so... Alright, Wolfheart, I was going to give you a mage. That hasn't changed. Oh, we'd have to remove one of the huntsmen, though, eh? You wouldn't be able to reach him anyway, I think. Huntsmen are responsible for a lot of the damage in your army, but a mage would help, but then we'd have to rely on magics. Or at least more so. I don't know. Occupy. For now, we'll just keep you where you are, and I will continue thinking about it all the way through to the end of the campaign. Anyway, Council of Burgomeister? No, we're gonna trade this place away. State Troop Levy. Alrighty, who was next? Theodoric von Blitten, you are going... Okay, both of you, in fact, are going to very... You're going to take a long time traveling down there. Would it be faster to go like this? It might be, because we don't have to cross rivers, we'd have to go by road, so I think we'll do this way instead. Like so. And we'll be able to start a turn in our own territory, which means we'd be able to travel even further than that. Go, go, go. Please don't get stopped. Good. Alright, lovely. Who was after you two? Elspeth, unless I'm mistaken. Hey, you've got to travel as well, and maybe you can find Skarsnik, maybe you can't before the end of the campaign. We'll see. Emil von Corden, you are going to keep taking territories here on your way to fight and kill the Skaven. Outpacing, by the looks of it, to the whatever this faction is, Miragliano. Like so, free scribe as well. We're not collecting the income, and that's not changing. It would be nice if these guys occupied Chateau Levar before... they're not gonna do it, are they? And it's so poorly defended. They're just sitting around here with all these stacks, and rather than attempting to take it, despite the fact that they share a border with it, they're going to be annoying and do the techless and move through territories that we're already in the process of conquering. Oh, AI. Why must you be like this? Gustave Schneider, you're still here primarily for auto-resolve purposes. Crusader Ergig... Wolfric Ergiger, rather. You... Oh. I wanted you to move somewhere where you didn't suffer attrition. Okay, that can't be done. Not a shame. Alright, well then you're going to have to move in and camp. And then head to Kakek Idol. You'll need to be up there. Hopefully to hunt down the main stack of Scrag the Slaughterer. I wonder how good it is. And yeah, he's rapidly taking territories in the same way that Village was from the Urson Revivalists. And yeah, Teclis, come here with your 2 stacks rather than here where you have half a province and the enemy is immediately threatening you. Come on, good job, man. Good job. And I see Wurzag down there as well. Buy this. I wonder if these guys will be willing to peace out with Teclis soon. Let's get to you... State Troop Levy again. And just to double check, you are indeed at war with these guys still? You are indeed. Alrighty. Huh. Aldebrand Ludenhoff. I wanted the cannons to, well, have their debut, and it looks like Wurzag will be obliging. Alright. I certainly don't mind it. What do we have here? Oh, right. This army has to be modified. Well, for now, you can have Sharpshooter, and... I was originally gonna say that we weren't gonna keep the pistol units in here, but who knows? Who knows? For now, what I want to see is how well these cannons work. Even if they aren't maxed out. Close victory, casualties low. I guess it's an artillery army kind of day. Go. Alright, definitely an artillery kind of day today. We had the Hellblasters, we had the rocket batteries, and now we have the cannons. Love to see these things fire as well. And we'll see how well they do here. The cannons aren't maxed out to the same degree that the other artillery pieces are. Well, okay, that the Hellblasters are. But hopefully maxed out enough for our purposes. The Hammer of the Witches looking pretty good here. 1.4k missile strength, 570 range. Not to the same degree that we were able to get, or not to the same power. Well, actually, I don't remember what the damage was on those, on the Dwarfen cannons. I imagine they were roughly the same amount, but their range, due to various buffs in the Thorgrim campaign, was basically across the entire battlefield. I think they had over 1,000 range or something silly like that. I gotta go back just to double check what their final weapon strength was, just out of curiosity as to compare to the Imperial artillery. Anyway, speaking of the artillery, they're going to continue firing at and annoying the enemy army. Perhaps the enemy wanted to wait for their reinforcements. They're in reinforcing Wa, I should say, but, well, that's just going to allow more cannons to smash into you. Troll's gonna get knocked back. It's not going to be as effective firing against the Trolls with cannons as it would be against enemy cavalry, but it should be effective enough for our purposes. And then more fragile, non-regenerating units, like those units of pump wagons, are going to be in much worse shape. Of course, we don't just have cannons in here, we have a line of Gunderman Surefires, and they're going to help by sniping enemies and slowing them down as well. And once again, definitely an army and an episode, generally speaking, that reminds me greatly of Empire Total War. Especially the cannons and the guns here. While the enemy runs towards us, taking massive casualties as they do. Another few more volleys from those cannons. They're doing decently well. They're obviously not dishing out droves or killing off droves of enemies, as other artillery pieces would, but that's not what they're for. And it's working well enough for our purposes. These guys have anti-missile... Oh, they don't have any kind of a contact effects, huh? In vanilla, the Empire cannons have monstrous impact, don't they? Or is that just Elspeth's Empire cannons that have monstrous impact? But that thing is ridiculous. It makes them insanely overpowered. Like, probably stronger than they should be. Because of the intense slow that they offer. I'm surprised that the regular cannons don't have that... I forget what the name of the ability is. There's one that reduces enemy missile defenses by 10%. It's not much, but it would be nice to have it. Not that it matters over much. Anyway, some of the enemy will actually reach our main line, perhaps unsurprisingly. Even the Giants have reached us, but the Giants have massive amounts of physical and missile resistance, so maybe that shouldn't be surprising at all. What the reason that it's surprising me isn't so much their HP, but this. Giants do get staggered and occasionally will actually fall down as they get hit by cannon fire. And thus it should, in theory, be very difficult for them to reach our lines, but still they managed to do so. Maybe they have more stagger resistance than I remember, or maybe we were too busy dealing with the trolls and other units. One of the Giants eats one of the units of Teutogan Guard, which are going to have to hold it back, even though they're a support unit. But they're a solid damage-dealing support unit as well. Perhaps support in name only. And of course, in the sort of main formation, we have the Imperial Foot holding off piles of Gobos. That seems unfair for the poor Gobos, but again, Gobos never to be underestimated. And I suppose it's an opportunity for the Imperial Foot to fight here before they're transferred to another army. Anyway, the Trolls will charge the Imperial Foot and we'll countercharge them with our Man-Eaters. Going to switch the targeting of the Gunderman's Surefires from Trolls to the enemy Giants and make sure that the big boys topple. This one will take one more volley and I believe drop. Would have been lovely if you had done that on cue, but there we go. And with that, it looks like most of the enemy army is running. Not all, however, as the bounce of power is 90% in our favor, but the enemy Lord Wurzag is still kicking. And those little units of Lava Spider Rider archers are still plinking away at us, not expecting them to do too much damage, and we've been by and large ignoring them. Tried to land our Lord and kill Wurzag, but it looks like Wurzag uses the effigy of the Git and stops the Lord in his tracks for a while. That's alright though, I guess it'll give more time for the rest of our units to fight. Wurzag keeps launching those gazes of Mork at us as well, but the cannon fire shrieking overhead is more numerous than gazes of Mork, so I think we'll carry the day in that sense. And just a little bit more work and Wurzag himself will get gunned down. All the cannons have now been switched to firing at him, and as soon as he drops to 30% of his HP, he decides to call the rest of the battle off and starts booking it on out of there. With the AI no longer dodging cannon fire, the cannons quickly bring him down. And it does seem that the travel time of the cannon blasts is slower than the travel time of the Hellblaster volleys, because the Hellblasters seem to be able to snipe enemy units much easier than the cannons do, as in single entities. Whereas the AI with its lords and heroes always dodges most of the cannon fire. At least with its lords and heroes, a little bit less so with things like giants and stuff like that. Anyway, the battle's hours are... Front line got a little bit beat up, but mostly the two support units and the Teutogan Guard. They do have relatively low melee defense, after all, especially compared to the Imperial Foot. no shielding, but that didn't really matter much in this battle. Not that any of it mattered much in this battle, because the battle was ours regardless of the beating that the frontliners took, and the cannons had a nice debut. Alrighty, there we go. Nice work from our cannons, and yeah, definitely echoed the other army, Waldemar Biber's Iron Company army, and this one works rather similarly, minus the, the cannons rather than the Hellblaster. The cannons are weaker, but this was a pretty solid army for them to debut against the Giants and the Trolls. Admittedly, it would have been better against piles and piles of Boar Boys, because cannons are better against cavalry, and Hellblasters are going to be better against the Trolls and the Giants and all that, but nonetheless, it worked out pretty darn well, and I do love us seeing the cannons fire, if nothing else. Anyway, praise Sigmar. Lovely. And Warzag's main stack is destroyed. In fact, I do believe that was his only stack, and we're not able to reach Deadgate here. But Warzag will be wiped out as soon as we can reach it next turn. Kind of interesting that he had this territory all the way back here. Alright, and then I guess you can, free Tormentor Sword. You can stay here and I guess channel. I may or may not get you a mage at some point, not that it's super needed. Maybe I should actually take you off the Griffin and put you on the ground with a pistol. The charge bonus for the army. Not super useful for this army, unless we keep the Grand Cauldron regulars. Well, I guess we got the charge bonus on the land ships, which can, in fact, charge if we keep them in this army. But anyway, ultimately it doesn't matter. What does matter is that we're out of town. I'm calling the episode here. There's a bunch of admin to do, like building, and tech thieves, and heroes, and recruiting, and all that. And as usual, I'll take care of those between the episodes. Next time, we continue everywhere, elsewhere, wherever we can find some fun fighting. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. Oh, wow, what the heck is this? Pile of windmills in the... Okay, this is actually kind of bizarre. Valley of Wind... Oh, okay, I see, that's why. Would that work well? Are windmills ever built in a valley? Does the wind get funneled in a valley and like creating like a valley wind tunnel, or are valleys like that? Is that the way it works? Would this work? If anybody knows, let me know, just out of curiosity. But anyway, more Karl to come. Just probably a couple more episodes, so stay tuned for those. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.